We have here Jenny works at Sammy's restaurant and is paid according to the rates in the following table. So you have Jenny's weekly wage agreement. Basic wage, uh, $600 plus 90 cents for each customer served. So they actually give us if the equation to use for this. So they said in a week, when Jenny serves n customers, her weekly wage, which is represented by WJ, or wage for Jenny, if you want to say in dollars, is given by the formula. So Jenny's wage is equal to the 600, which is a flat wage or salary, and that has to be added by 90 cents per customer, like a commission. So as I said, most persons got this question correct. Good morning, Kimberly. But one person left it out and another person got like half a mark. So if you don't see the answer that I have on the screen, you knew that probably you got half a mark. If you had like part of the working, my answer was wrong, you get half a mark. If you left it out, well then you know if you left it out, right? So yes, using this, all you had to do, because this was straightforward, you just replace the letter N with the number of customers, because that's what this 230 is represented. So 0.990 and similarly to what I've told you all before, anytime you see numbers next to letters, you have to multiply all the time, every single time. So it will be, if you don't have to multiply, they will have to put a plus or a minus or any of the other signs between them. But when it's multiplication, that's the only sign they don't have to put. So at this point, some of you all will do the wise thing and save time and go on your calculators, right? So you put 600 plus 0.90 multiplied by the 230, and you get the answer right there, which is $807. So I said most persons got this, just like two persons also. One did do it, the other one got half a mark or some error they made. So if you don't have this answer, or you had it, something was halfway there, but then you know it was the one of the. Does anybody have any questions about this before I move on to the next part? Okay, nobody's saying nothing. Cool. So I don't know if anybody's writing. I highly doubt. So I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to go down to the next part. So we have at the same restaurant, Shona is paid a weekly wage of $270 plus $1.50 for each customer she serves. If W, well, the wage of Shona is Shona's weekly wage in dollars. Write a formula for calculating Shona's weekly wage when she serves M customers. So all you have to do is just look at how they created, even if you don't know what to do. Look at how they created Jenna stuff. We're saying Jenny, sorry. And then follow the same order is not that difficult. So the amount of wage or salary that Shona will get is equal to her flat fee, because it said she is paid. So she's sure to get this amount, the $270. So that is like a must. Plus means to add, right? So yeah, add $1, $1.50 for for what? For each, or it is for every customer she serves. And they said use M to represent the number of customers. So we have M here, and that's all you had to do to get a one mark right in. So yes, a couple persons left that one out. I don't think somebody got like half a mark here because some error you made. So if you don't have that answer for this part of the paper, make your corrections or take it down. If you have any questions, ask a question. Anybody have any? I missed a question. Uh, oh, you're correct, but what that question is though? I'll have to go back up in a bit. I don't know if anybody's writing. I believe probably not. You realize I missed a question. I'm shooting out time to let you know. Where the question is? Oh, this one. Sorry about that. My bad. So going to this part, it says in a good week, Jenny's wage is 1,000 or more. Anytime you say this here, more or less, and think about inequalities, less than, greater than, equal to, them kind of signs, right? It continues to say that what is the least number of customers that Jenny must serve in order to have a good week? Have a good week. Good morning, Shiva. So, what was I gonna say here? In a good week. So you're using the same formula, right? The same formula they give us above here for Jenny, right? So they're saying, let me write down the formula here. So Jenny's wage is equal to 600, which we know is her flat or sure fee, plus 90 cents for every customer, right? So if she sells 100 customers, you multiply 90 cents for 100. So that's what N represents any number depending on how much customers she sells on a weekly basis. So they're saying in a good week, Jenny's wage is 1,000 or more. So in other words, in a good week, her salary, her wage, we know what represents the wage in that formula, right? WG represents her wage. So in a good week, Jenny's wage is either equal to 1,000. That's what the is part is saying. Is 1,000 or Jenny's wage can also be greater than 1,000. So because her wage could be equal to 1,000 or greater than 1,000, to put this as one inequality, it would be Jenny's wage will be greater than or equal to 1,000. Right? So it's like little small details you don't have to pay attention to. So that means we know what her wage is going to be on a good, well, at least the minimum among the 1,000. We know what it will be in a good week when she sells probably a lot of customers, something like that. So since we know what her wage is, we'll replace this here with 1,000 and we'll put greater than equal to so hold on. Let me make sure I'm putting this in the correct way in this form. I know it's correct in this form. So greater than equal to the information. So the 600, let me just put down this so that I'll make sure I put the sign correctly here, right? So it means depending on how much customers she sells certain weeks, her wages will be equal to 1,000 or greater than. So this part will give you the greater than. right? So that's how the sign will have to go in this particular way, right? Let me know if you all have any questions to this point before I actually work out. They said the number of customers that you see, or the least amount of customers, right? Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, if you have no questions, no problem. So, guess what we have to do now? How are we going to find n? Because by finding n, that's how we would figure out what would be the least number of customers that Jenny would serve. So what do we do? Somebody needs to tell me. Let me see who has which. Okay, I see like one, two persons left that out. Two, one, two, three, four, six persons who did it, got it fully correct, and two persons lost a half a mark. Okay, transpose correct. Thank you. So to transpose to get n by itself, we have to move two things. We have to move the 600 and we have to move the 90 cents. Which one do we move first? If you don't know, as I said, you can always write down BEDMAS and go reverse. To some of you all got really accustomed to it, so you don't even have to write down BEDMAS. You already know the procedure in your head. So usually when you go in reverse, when you have to transpose, you look for anything subtracting, have nothing subtracting. Anything adding, yes. But then some people say, well, 90 adding, 97 remove that first. No, that is not just adding, that's also being multiplied. So I just always tell you anything that's being multiplied to the letter you're trying to find or transpose for, that's the last thing you want to do, right? So the other thing that's being added is the 600. Now, some of you might have said, well, how do you mean the 600 added? When a number doesn't have a sign, meaning addition or subtraction sign in front of it, it's a positive number, or in other words, it's being added. So that's the first thing you will move because it's sandwiched between two addition signs. The first one was invisible. That's why you all have to remember this one, right? Once a number is negative, they have to put a negative sign. It's only positive numbers, usually, depending on where it is in the problem, the positive sign, sorry, is not always written. So in order for us to get rid of this 600, the correct thing to do, as most of you know, is to subtract, do the opposite of the addition sign, which is to subtract the number. And if you subtract the number on one side, you want to subtract the same number on the other side of the equation as well. So, so and okay, and then, well, when you subtract these two, you get 400. Less than equal to, well, 600, take out 600 will cancel and give you 0. You don't have to write 0. You could just write this. You what remain, which was the 0.9 Cn. And last but not least, we need to separate the 90 cent from the n. And you have to remember what sign is connected. The 90 cents to the n. They're being multiplied. 90 cents or 0.90 n means 0.90 multiplied by n. So to remove that, you do the opposite of the multiplication sign, which is to divide. So you divide here by 90 cents, you divide here by 90 cents, because you all know, similarly, so when you're doing equations, even with inequalities, if you divide something on one side of inequality, you have to divide the same thing on the other side of the inequality, otherwise the inequality would be wrong, right? So this will cancel out, giving you 1, which means we now have n by itself, right? So using a calculator, we divide 400 by 90 cents and you get 444.444 going all the way down. Now, the thing about this question, right? That is almost the answer, but that's not exactly the answer. So they're asking us here, so what is the least number of customers that Jenny must, right? I'm just take out some of these lines here. Yeah, so what is the least number of customers that Jenny must serve? Must is not maybe, right? It's like must as in certain, right? So, as you all know, there's no half a person or piece of person walking around alive, right? So even though if you get 444.4, the answer is either going to be, for the least, the answer is either going to be 444, because they have to check persons as whole people, or 445. And to know which one is going to be correct, all you really have to do, you can test it if you're not sure. Because whichever one must give you, whichever one number you use as the customers must give you for the least 1,000 or greater than. The answer cannot be less than, because then that would represent a good week according to what they asking us for. So some persons would, what they'll do, they'll plug it into the original formula here. I'm going to erase this, right? So if you want to test, because I think some people had the 444 stuff, we just take this information here and what you do, you'll multiply it by the 444 and see. So you can put it in a calculator, you don't have to do it manually and waste time even in the exam, right? So all you have to do, take that, put it in your calculator. That's why you should have more for scientific. So 600 plus 0.90 multiplied by 444, you all would see you are getting less than 1,000. So then you know it is not 444, and you cannot put it as a number in a fraction. So Shania came in good morning. So what you could do, obviously it will be 445, but if you still want to test it to make sure, you could just remove this and change it to 4, 4, 5, and working like that. So 600 add. So I hope those of you who did this question and didn't get it correct or whatever, that you will at least, use a calculator, do it while I doing it for practice sake, So with the 445 customers, she will be able to get at least, or for the least, $1,000.05. So does anybody have any questions for me? I know persons who came in late. All I can tell you, that's why I usually put in myself, you'll try and be early as possible. I know sometimes it could be emergency, and then I have other cases where some of you, like I know some of you does be ducking class, like I know. So yeah, if you came late, you might be a little lost. What I can tell you is two things. You can either look back at the recording, and I have no problem. If you send me a message after I look at the recording, so I still don't understand this, fine. I'll see what I can do to help you. Right? But does anybody who was here while I started this particular question that has a question? When you're real quiet, you all know when you're real quiet, I like to call names. Okay. Still writing. So did I erase the stuff that you were writing? Sorry if that's the case. My bad. Or were you writing on top? Oh, okay, no problem. No problem. So yes, if you have questions at any point, make sure to ask the questions. Because you want to be as clear as possible. You don't want to be doubting yourself, right? Uh, so let me know when you're finished writing so I can move on. Please and thank you. Are you still writing? Oh, okay. Thank you for confirming. So for those who came in late, I kind of jump ahead of myself because I completed part 3